Fox News legal analyst Gregg Jarrett. Okay, Greg, so, the president's made it very clear, and anyone that knows him, he has a lot of love and respect for Pam. But like all teams, sometimes the coach wants to put fresh blood in the game.
Yeah, Lawrence, I think you've put your finger on it, because this was not an ugly, acrimonious firing that typically happens in Washington, D.C. No, Trump had nothing but praise for Bondi, who did crack down on crime. She prosecuted violent offenders, gangs, cartels, even Antifa. Murder dropped to a 125-year low. So, that's a legacy that she should be proud of. But I do think that Donald Trump saw a chance to change a couple of dynamics. First of all, to turn the corner, obviously, on the whole Epstein ordeal, because right or wrong, Bondi was closely associated with the slow disclosures that were widely criticized. Second of all, Trump wants a more aggressive pursuit of cases against those who weaponize the law. Everything from the Russia hoax to the specious criminal indictments. These were diabolical schemes to destroy him and ruin his election chances. The lawfare crusade was a corrupt abuse of power. I wrote 2 books on it. And so sometimes, as you point out, Lawrence, new leadership, fresh perspective is needed at the top. And I'm sure the president decided, let's move right now in advance of the midterm elections to avoid a confirmation fight if Democrats retake the U.S. Senate. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's more changes on the immediate horizon.
So, Greg, let's take that step by step, because I do think some context is important. And I think the next attorney general, whoever is going to be, could heed some of this advice. First of all, the Department of Justice is not an Oppo research firm, meaning if you're not going to charge someone, we don't just release documents. That's injustice. And I think when you start to put documents out and no one goes to jail, you open yourself up to scrutiny. Online may want documents to go out, but unless you're going to charge someone, you shouldn't be releasing documents.
Yeah, this is an age-old lesson, Lawrence. Never make a promise that you can't keep. And that was, I think, the principal problem here. The promise was made by Pam Bondi and some others. You can't put it all on her, that, they're on our desk, we're going to release it imminently. And when it didn't happen, there was hell to pay. Criticisms from both sides of the aisle. And so I think in retrospect, that was a regrettable mistake. But there were other things that I pointed out that I think concerned the president. And he's a guy who is very impatient. It's part of his success, in fact. And so he does like to make changes. We saw it frequently during his first term in office.
So let's talk about the second thing. And you noted, you wrote 2 books on it. There were clear weaponizations of the government against not only the president, but I think some people forget this, other Americans as well. Pro-lifers were targeted. Praying grandmas were targeted. Overcharging took place in the Department of Justice. And people voted in the last election for accountability, for fairness, but accountability for that. So the next attorney general is going to have to look at that as well, right, Greg?
Yes, I think there's accountability that is expected from the people who put Donald Trump in office. And, whoever is the pick, whether it's Lee Zeldin or Todd Blanche or, Harmeet Dillon, Jeanine Pirro's on the list. I think they will know that there is a serious expectation from the President of the United States that I want you to delve deep into the corruption. The deep state, and it is very thick. It is widespread, and there were so many different lawfare campaigns. All of them deserve immediate attention. Now, there is in Florida a U.S. attorney investigation. More than 100 subpoenas have been issued. Key players in the lawfare campaign that stretched for roughly a decade. There's a grand jury that's impaneled, and I think the president expects action to be taken, and, frankly, so do the people who voted him in office.
We'll be fine.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.